For the last 3 years, we've been asking people of all ages and backgrounds what Yiddish means to them.
My father.
The Yiddish theater.
You wouldn't understand.
In honor of Women's History Month, let's hear what some of the women we've interviewed have to say about the role of Yiddish in their lives and in the world at large.
Ich bin aufgewachsen in Montreal. Und wir haben allemal geredet Yiddish in daheim, no Yiddish.
It was the language that was spoken when our parents didn't want us to know what they were saying.
Für mein Tate ist sehr wichtig gewesen, als seine Töchter Beile und Miriam sollen kennenlernen Yiddish.
Well, Yiddish, of course, it brings a lot of nostalgia for me because it reminds me of my parents and my whole family and my growing up in that Yiddish culture.
And I would often ask those questions, like, what does this mean and what does that mean? And my mother's answer always was, it doesn't translate, you wouldn't understand.
You know, I would say my experience of it most was to try to escape it because I wanted my parents to speak English. You know, I didn't, growing up, you want to be part of everything around you, and my parents always spoke Yiddish.
Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Ash, Basheva Singer, Peretz, so many Mendele, so many wonderful Yiddish writers.
You know, there were Yiddish plays, there were Yiddish concerts. And
I used to go to the theater every week, but I could tell you one of the most remarkable things that I've ever seen in Yiddish theater was Death of a Salesman in Yiddish language. Now, if you see Death of a Salesman in Yiddish, you really see what it was all about.
The first writings I have of hers is 1917. It says, I am longing now for those bygone Friday nights, our home shone so brightly with splendor divine. Es bängt sich mir hitz, noch ein Freitag zu Nacht, die Stube ist zerblitzt, mit heiliger Pracht.
It's clear that as the number of native Yiddish speakers is diminishing, and as the settings where Yiddish as a spoken language is diminishing, aside from the Hasidic world, that it's increasingly important in the academic settings to teach Yiddish and to expose students to Yiddish, that's increasingly where students come to encounter Yiddish.
Yiddish is new. I mean, it's just learning a new language just generally is so great. And because I've been learning Hebrew since I was very, very little, Hebrew was like the language my parents would use when they didn't want me and my brother to understand what they were saying. So there was like an impetus to learn it because of that. And then also my school, like we were learning it.
I don't sort of openly proselytize with my students, but I was encourage them all if they have an interest to study Yiddish language.
It was a really exciting thing to see as a class that I could take, not just something you would talk about in a section of a class or, talk about with my dad or something like that. It was like a real academic subject to study.
We are doing very well, really, academically. We have a lot of colleges and universities that are teaching Yiddish.
I mean, there's obviously not language wars the way there were language wars when like Hebrew was first being modernized again. But there's definitely like a little going on. I told a friend at Hampshire that I was taking Yiddish and she was like, that's so irrelevant. Why would you take Yiddish? You should keep doing Hebrew. And I was like, I mean, that's a part of it too, but like this is also important. There is also people that speak Yiddish.
When I teach Jewish history, and I teach the history of European Jews, I don't see how you can possibly teach that history without knowing Yiddish.
I don't think I appreciated then, as I do now, the richness of Yiddish culture.
And all my life I knew, as I had told you, I wanted to go to Poland. I knew that one day I would do something with my Yiddish, with my love for Yiddish. And I decided that life is too short and I've got to get on with it. And my life is now completely immersed in Yiddish.
It was only as I grew up and because of my orientation to Yiddish that I started to, read the Yiddish authors a little and, you know, go to plays about Yiddish. And it definitely, anytime there's something about Yiddish, it attracts me as something that I want to know about.
We had no intention of speaking Yiddish with our kids. We were totally into Yiddish and studying it ourselves. A friend of ours worked on me for 9 months of gestation. Every Monday night would say, "You're going to teach this baby Yiddish." I said, "No, I've lousy, lousy Yiddish, horrible Yiddish." And finally he said, "Besser a zerbrochene Yiddish wie kein Yiddish." Better a broken Yiddish than no Yiddish. And that was a hard argument to argue against.
It is not the language in which people make love and curse, and it's not the language in which they work, and it is different.
How will it get out to the young people who are missing this period, this language, this warmth, this understanding of their roots? It says something to those who can still remember, or to the young people who want to remember. And I keep saying, why aren't we doing more? We need to hire a whole troupe of translators.
I'm very happy to see that my kids aren't alone, that there are passels of young adults, some who are having kids and bringing their kids up in Yiddish, that there is a future. Yiddish lebt, Yiddish lives.
It may be better, it may be worse. It probably is worse in some ways. But on the whole, I think it's a possibility. And as, what's his name, Isaac Bashevis Singer once said, they have been predicting the death of Yiddish for a number of generations now. They're still predicting it, and it still isn't dead. I don't think it's dead. I don't think it can be dead. I think there is an affection and a feeling for Yiddish, even by people, among people who don't know it well.